You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Good morning, happy Tuesday, happy Mars Day. I'm so grateful you're here with me to talk through the transits. So today we have a little bit of a calmer day in the stars. This week is more low-key than the past week or so we've been talking about. Yesterday we had 3 different conjunctions with the moon. Today we have yet another conjunction with the moon. So that's really going to dominate the story for our Tuesday. The moon is currently in Aquarius, making several different connections. We don't have any major planetary connections happening today. In fact, it's pretty quiet when you look at just kind of the big picture of things. We do have a connection between Venus and Neptune tomorrow, but other than that, today is a really quiet day. So let's just dive right in. First, I'm going to talk about the week ahead, give you a little preview of what's to come because we have passed kind of that major hurdle of that triple conjunction yesterday, or those 3 back-to-back conjunctions, I should say. And then we'll talk about what's going on with the Aquarius moon today, and then we will pull a card per usual. So let's start with what's going on with the planets. So here's a look at this week. Yesterday we had that conjunction between the Capricorn moon, Venus and Pluto, as well as the Aquarius moon and Mercury. Yesterday was kind of an emotional roller coaster, if you will. Today we have a conjunction between the Aquarius moon and Saturn, and we'll talk more about that in depth in just a moment. Tomorrow Venus forms a supportive angle to Neptune. So that's a really romantic vibe, a lot of creativity, passion, love, creative expression. Thursday, things quiet down again. The moon is in Pisces, no major connections. Friday, same thing. The moon does make a conjunction to Neptune. And then Saturday, we have the sun forming a conjunction to Venus. So this is like the week of conjunctions. We have so many this week. And I'll show you when we look at the chart why that is, because all the planets are kind of bundled up into one part of the current astrology chart, which is why we're seeing so much activity surrounding those planets this week. So Saturday will be a conjunction between the Sun and Venus retrograde, which could bring the focus to relationships and finances. Any issues in those areas could come to light. Sunday is the first quarter moon in Aries. So this week is kind of, you can see like moon dominates the story Monday, Tuesday. Then we have a major transit on Wednesday. Moon dominates the story Thursday, Friday. Then we have a major transit on Saturday. And then Sunday is all about the moon again. And just to show you a little bit more of a snapshot of what's going on with the moon and the phases, you can see we have a waxing crescent moon now in Aquarius. The moon moves into Pisces tomorrow, still waxing. It moves into Aries on Friday. And then by Sunday, we get to the first quarter moon in Aries. So just 3 signs we'll be moving throughout this week with the moon. And the next couple days when the moon moves into Pisces could be more emotionally sensitive because Pisces energy heightens our sensitivity. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if you've been looking for that motivation to really get after your New Year's goals, the moon in Aries can definitely help you do that. Especially that first quarter moon on Sunday can help you take action towards your goals. All right, so that's a look ahead for the week. Now let's talk about what's happening today. So as I mentioned, all the planets are really lined up on one side of the chart, or the majority of the planets are lined up, which is why we're seeing, as the moon transits through this side of the chart, through Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, it's forming conjunctions to the sun, the new moon, Venus, Pluto, Mercury, today Saturn, then Jupiter, then Neptune. So yeah, a lot going on. A lot going on with the moon, and then, the sun is making its way into a conjunction with Venus by this Saturday, so lots of conjunctions to talk about. But today, it's all about that Aquarius moon. You might have woken up kind of reminded of past issues, past pain, past wounds, or even just current pain and wounds, because the moon formed a sextile to Chiron at 4 a.m. Pacific time, so 7 a.m. Eastern time. This is a supportive angle, and because the moon's in Aquarius, it can allow us to see different perspectives, open our mind a little bit, and we can observe those wounds without having to fully go into them and feel them, because the moon in Aquarius brings a little bit more of a detached emotional energy. But when Chiron plays into the picture, we are reminded of those wounds. So, keep that in mind. You might have woken up feeling that way. That transit has passed us by now, though, so shouldn't affect you too much any longer. Then by 7 a.m. Pacific time, the moon squared off to Uranus. So that could have looked like a change in mood this morning. Maybe over the past couple days, you've been feeling a certain way, and today you just kind of feel different. Uranus is the planet of change and rebellion, so you might have actually woken up feeling a little bit more rebellious or sassy as well. You can see the moon at 10 degrees in Aquarius forming that square to Uranus in Taurus. So the start of our Tuesday could have brought some mood swings, some outbursts, some irritation. Just today in general, try not to let your inner rebel take the wheel too much. With the moon in Aquarius, our inner rebel, our eccentric side likes to come out, which isn't a bad thing, but rebellion for the sake of rebellion can just cause a headache for everybody. So keep that in mind. Try not to cause too much of an uproar just for the sake of feeling something. That was 7 a.m. this morning. Okay, here's the major transit of the day, though. The moon forms a conjunction to Saturn at 11 a.m. Pacific time. So that's 2 p.m. Eastern this evening for those of you who live even farther east than that. So this is the headline of the day. Saturn has been in Aquarius for the past year and a half or so, and will be in Aquarius for the next year or so as well. So those of you who have your Saturn in Aquarius are likely going through your Saturn return, likely feeling that. I know I am. And the moon forming this conjunction to Saturn, especially if you are going through your Saturn return, you're going to feel that today. You're really going to feel the emotions of your Saturn return. For the rest of us, this just could look like a limiter on our emotions. Saturn is that limiting energy, that boundary, that it can be a little bit negative, showing us all the things that could go wrong or all the things we could worry about. Saturn is there for a reason, right? We need to have boundaries. We need to have structure. We need to have limits. Those things keep us safe. And as Saturn is the builder of the zodiac, they help us limits and boundaries help us climb. They make our foundation solid. They make sure we have that safe footing. But when the moon forms a conjunction with Saturn, this looks like our emotions, especially our emotions being a little bit more detached under the Aquarius moon, literally merging with that Saturn energy. And that can make us feel more serious. It can make us feel more doubtful or worried. We can confuse, worry, and doubt with our intuition when these two energies blend. So if you're getting like a gut feeling about something, today might not be the day to fully trust that, because we tend to have more of a jaded view of things when the moon forms a conjunction to Saturn. This can also just put a damper on our mood in general. So if you're feeling a little bit more depressed or down today, just not in the best mood, you can attribute that to this conjunction between the moon and Saturn. Luckily, when we're talking about lunar transits, they don't last very long. So if you're feeling a little down in the dumps today, know that it will pass, and probably will pass by this afternoon or evening, because the next connection we have, and the final connection the moon makes today, is a sextile to Mars in Sagittarius. This can, the moon in Aquarius is really about our mental state. Even though the moon rules our emotions, Aquarius is that mental energy. So when the moon gets support from Mars, this can really help us think about the actions we need to take to achieve our goals. Mars in Sagittarius is like, let's go, no holding back, take action, freedom, like let's, just expand and explore, and there's no holding back. So very different from that Saturn energy we were just talking about. When the moon gets support from Mars, it can really help us focus on those actions we need to take, on movement, on our energy, how we can move energy through us. And we might be thinking more about the intentions or the goals we set under this Sunday's new moon, but once the moon gets support from Mars, we'll be more enthusiastic, more motivated to start tackling those goals, or making a plan even to tackle those goals. The first quarter moon in Aries on Sunday is a great time to really jump into action and start moving on whatever plans you have. This transit can also make us crave freedom and independence, and that could be something that stays with us throughout the day, because the moon in Aquarius can be a little bit more independent. We crave our own personal freedom when the moon is in Aquarius, but especially with Mars and Sagittarius and that connection this afternoon or evening, it can really make us feel like we need to be free. We need to literally physically be free. Go out, go on a run, be in nature, whatever that looks like for you. Physical movement that helps you feel a little bit more emotionally free can be really helpful for you by this evening when the moon forms that sextile to Mars. So that's it today. Just the Aquarius moon making several connections. That connection to Saturn is going to be the one that dominates the story. And I like Ray, no worries. That's the mentality to have, because worry could creep in with this transit, with the moon forming a conjunction to Saturn, but having that mindset beforehand, Ray, will certainly help you out. So let's do an overview, and then we will pull a card. Today, the Aquarius moon dominates the story. It makes several connections, but the most prominent connection is a conjunction to Saturn. So both the moon and Saturn are now in Aquarius, and when they meet in the sky, their energies merge. This can put a little bit of a damper on our mood. Saturn is the planet of boundaries and limits, so it can feel like our emotions are a little bit more repressed today, or even a little bit more negative. We tend to worry more when the moon forms a conjunction to Saturn. So keep that in mind. Know that this energy will pass. The lunar transit don't last very long, and try to keep your head up. Know that tomorrow, the next couple of days, things will get a little bit easier and a little bit lighter. All right, that's an overview. Now let's pull a card, keeping things short and sweet today. And I'm just going to pull from The Universe Has Your Back deck by Gabby Bernstein. I also just realized, I think this whole time, the top of my phone has been in the shot. That's better. Okay, the universe has your back. This is your time to ask questions wherever you're watching. If you have any questions about what this means for you, if you're an Aquarius, if you have an Aquarius moon, or let me know what your moon sign is, what your sun sign is, and maybe I can give you some insight on the week ahead and what to focus on. All right, shuffling this up. What do we need to know today? think I just recently got this card the last time I pulled from this deck. It says, the moment I realign with love, clear direction is presented to me. I'm almost certain this is the last card I pulled from this deck, which I love. When that happens, it's very much, I feel, the universe saying like, hey, this message is something to pay attention to. So the moment I realign with love, clear direction is presented to me. It can be more difficult today to feel the love. We have some transits that kind of, like I said, put a damper on our mood a little bit, make us more irritable, make us feel the need for freedom. So, it can be easy to distance yourself from other people today. But remember the love you have for others, the love you have for yourself. If you can lean into love, you can move through these transits a little bit more easily today. And if you're confused or anything or worried about anything, focusing on love can show you the next steps, can show you the path forward. All right. I hope that you got some good insight from this. You feel better about the day ahead. Maybe if you were already feeling a little bit down in the dumps. I know this morning I woke up and I was just a little bit more irritable than usual and a little bit more negative than usual. It was harder for me to reach for those good feeling thoughts today. But then looking at the transits, understanding maybe it's not just me. Maybe there are some other factors at play. That can be a little bit reassuring. And looking ahead to the next couple of days, as we did at the beginning of the stream, the moon is moving into Pisces later this week, making us feel a little bit more sensitive, empathetic, compassionate, emotional, maybe even more loving and romantic. And the moon in Aries, even later in the week, helps us start to get that fire going, take some action. So if you're not quite feeling in that New Year energy just yet, you're kind of right on time with the transits. They've been pretty difficult the past couple days, but they will get easier later in the week. We have a lot of positive transits coming up to talk about. So we're going live again at 11 o'clock today, so in just about an hour, talking about the numerology of 2022, what this year will bring, how to discover your personal numerology, and figure out what the year ahead is going to hold based on the numbers. So we're talking with numerologist Felicia Bender. That will be right around 11 a.m. right here, wherever you're watching. And you can also watch our interview anytime on YouTube. I'll also be posting it as a podcast either later today or tomorrow. So we have lots of fun stuff coming up, picking back up the pace of the Spiritual Journalist again in the new year. And I'm really excited for today's conversation. So I hope you can join us at 11 a.m. and I hope to see you right back here tomorrow morning. But until then, stay curious. Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.